You're listening to the Team Stripes podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 73 of the Team Stripes podcast, proudly presented by Acme Whistles, helping you make the big calls since 1870. The legendary Acme Thunderer is now available in matte black, and boy, oh boy, do they look pretty. Ross, how are you today?
Dude, I'm freaking awesome. I'm fired up today. We got a heck of a show for everybody. We got an awesome guest. I got to do my favorite thing as an American citizen today. I got to vote for who's going to be president for the next 4 years. We don't talk politics here, but for those of you American guys, go vote. Don't care who you vote for. Go do it. Getting to participate in our democracy is a big thing. So we got that. Had a pretty good discussion yesterday over a question I got wrong on the USA Hockey rule test, which I knew the answer to, but for some reason I still got it wrong because I forgot, because it was on the open book and the closed book. I got it right on the closed book, wrong on the open book. And going to be submitting some rule changes. You know how that is with USA Hockey. It is rule change time.
Yep.
So if any of you guys don't like a rule, let's flood Matt Leaf's mailbox in Colorado Springs with them rule changes, which maybe we can talk about some potential ones that we might think should go. I'm just fired up and ready to go, man.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the voting and everything, this is actually my first time finally being able to vote, and so I'm actually pretty excited about it. Like, yeah, we're not a political podcast by any stretch of the imagination, nor would I want to be one. But if you are an American, I mean, go out and vote. I'm excited. But anyway, we got hockey. Not a whole lot, I guess, coming out of the NHL.
I just want to jump in real quick and just say congrats on your first time getting a vote.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. I mean, it'll be fun. I look forward to it. But with hockey, I think the biggest news that we have to jump onto is one that came out today, as in Monday, because we record on Mondays, is Mr. Mike Doc Emmerich retiring after, I believe, 50 years in the broadcast booth.
40 or 50 years. He called, I think the stat was 3,750 plus NHL games, whether it be, or hockey games, I should say.
Professional and Olympic.
Yeah, so that's TV, radio, Morse code, smoke signals.
Yeah.
Doc has done it all, I think. Man, like, it's just hard to put into words. Like, I watched the video this morning, the video package that NBC Sports put together as, his final farewell. Like, I'm sitting here getting goosebumps thinking about it. Doc, thank you for the memories of calling all these big hockey games. Like, when you think of hockey commentators, for me, there's a few that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Doc, number one, a guy like Bill Clement and Gary Thorne, back in the day with ESPN, obviously Eddie Olczyk and those guys. But there was just something about how Doc called a hockey game compared to anybody else. His vocabulary, his mannerisms that were unique to just him. It's going to be weird turning on a game on NBC next season and not hearing his legendary voice call the play-by-play.
Yeah, I do agree that it's going to be weird. Obviously, I'm doing broadcast journalism as my major. Like, something I want to do is what Doc did, a play-by-play guy for an NHL team, for any, whatever. And he's one of the probably top 3 guys that I would say I look up to. And if I could just be half as good as he would be, I think that would be awesome. I mean, I have him up there with Don Cherry, Ron McLean, Bob Hope, like some of the best of the best of the best. All the best to him. I don't know how he figured out what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, but man, oh man, he was one of the best at it, and all the best in retirement.
Just a brilliant man. And just the vocabulary, the just the way he called the game was very unique. I saw actually what was really cool today. Blake Coleman plays for the Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
He sent out a tweet, saying he grew up listening to Doc Emmerich call hockey games, and he's just honored that he was the one that got the final goal call by Doc Emmerich.
That actually would be really cool. I didn't even think about that. That is,
Yeah, it was a pretty cool tweet. It was just one of those surreal moments for a young hockey player in Coleman getting to say that, I scored the last goal that Mike Emmerich ever called.
mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a pretty cool tweet. And then obviously the rest of the hockey world's been, sending their best wishes and in retirement and all that. So Doc Emmerich, if you do listen to this podcast, thank you so much for everything you've done for hockey. And if we could somehow get you on here, I think I would not be able to speak. I would just be in awe and starstruck of, one of the greatest announcers to ever, call any sport, not just hockey.
I do agree. He definitely had a way with words, and it was always fun to listen. And it'll be interesting to see what NBC does. I mean, his shoes will not be filled, but somebody does have to replace them.
No, never. No, you're right. Someone will step up, but they got a lot of guys that do games, so it'll be next man up mentality, but he'll definitely be missed.
On to some, I would say, more cheerful hockey news. The WHL has announced their starting date for January 8th of 2021. For those of you not familiar with the WHL, it's the Western Hockey League in Canada. It's one of the major junior leagues. There was a lot of
any announcement on the Q or the O with their start dates yet?
I have not heard anything from them.
Okay.
Last I heard from the OHL was the government wanted them to take body checking and everything out of the game for COVID reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the WHL. I'm saying they're a bright spot because there was no government intervention, no bailout package, no rule changes, nothing like that. It's just going to be, hey, we're starting January 8th. And I think that's awesome. Down here in the U.S., at least, junior hockey's in all but full swing for us. The North American League, NA3 League started early October. The USHL, I believe, is sometime in the next week or two, something like that. So, I mean,
I'm not sure.
We haven't missed a beat down here. Obviously, up in Canada, they're, I would say, a lot more serious with the COVID thing, which that's all fine. But the WHL will get to play come January 8th, and I think that's just awesome.
Well, and then we had another league, the ECHL, which affects this announcement affects a lot of probably a lot of our listeners that are our local linesmen and some of the other guys that I know and work with. So the ECHL is doing a funky. It's going to be a split schedule. So 13 teams are playing 72 games, and that starts on December 11th. Those 13 teams are going to play their first 10 games between December 11th and January 14th. And then the rest of the league comes in minus Atlanta. They're sitting the year out. And the rest of the league will play a 62-game season. So let's see, the teams participating, So it's the Florida teams and a couple of the other, basically teams in the States that don't have as many COVID restrictions are the ones getting rolling. And then the way they're going to determine playoffs is not going to be by points. It's going to be by winning percentage. Because obviously there are going to be a few teams that play 10 more games than the other teams.
So those 10 games, why don't they just call them exhibition games?
Because they want to get they want to get in a 72-game schedule,
but only 13.
They got the ECHL is driven by revenue, and that revenue is butts in the seats.
Yep, ticket sales.
So the teams that are able to have butts in the seats, they're going to do it. And then there's some other stuff that came out like procedure stuff and this and that I've seen. Can't really go into detail on that kind of stuff, but as far as the ECHL goes, it's a 72 game season for 13 teams, and then the rest of the teams will be playing a 62 game season.
So it's almost business as usual, hopefully.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the weirdest or worst part about the season is going to be we don't finish the regular season in the ECHL until June 6th.
Oh, wow.
So that's super late.
Because that's,
yeah,
I mean,
because they
that's
obviously only play
playoffs.
weekends.
Yeah.
For the most part, unless it's like Orlando, Jacksonville, and Fort Myers playing against each other, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of thing. But for the most part, the travel's done Thursdays and Sundays or Thursdays and Mondays, and they play on the weekend. So it'll be an interesting year for the ECHL. I've seen some stuff floating around what the NHL might be doing, realigning the divisions, the 6 Canadian teams only playing each other.
Oh, 7.
7. I'm sorry. I always think 6.
Don't forget about Winnipeg.
Yeah. Well, so the 7 Canadian teams only playing each other, some kind of modified bubble. Who knows? Obviously, they're shooting for a January 1st start date. And with that January 1st start date, there is potential. There is a rumor that the NHL is going to play their opening game on Lake Louise in Banff.
And how sick would that be?
If that happens, if that gets announced and they are allowing fans, I am going to do everything in my power to make it to that. There is no way I'm going to miss that if I can get to it.
That will be one of the most beautiful NHL games ever, just scenery-wise. I mean, Lake Louise is gorgeous, and that would just be awesome if it was there.
Yeah, if none of you guys know what Lake Louise is, it's that
Google
lake. You've probably seen a picture of it without even realizing it. It's like it's a lake with mountains in the background. When it's frozen, you can see all the way to the bottom of the lake. Like the water is that clean, and it's absolutely beautiful. So please, NHL, if you are listening, make that happen. Like, oh my goodness, it'd be amazing to see. It'd be even more awesome to do a yearly thing where you put all the teams up there for a week and everyone
just
gets
play
to
a game or two.
Yeah, like it'd be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. Speaking of the NHL realignment, that came out after Vegas owner Bill Foley, he was asked about, playing Nate Schmidt as he got traded over to the Vancouver Canucks last Monday. And he was asked, like, hey, like, how do you feel about playing, against Schmidt? And he said, oh, we won't see him this year as all the Canadian teams are just going to play each other. Honestly, if that happens, I wouldn't be overly surprised just because the Canadian border is still closed. I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, travel would kind of suck, especially if it's, Vancouver and Montreal, like that's cross country. I don't think that affects a whole lot though. And I mean, I'm down for a Canadian division. I mean, especially look, whatever gets us playing games, I don't care. Come January 1st, as long as we're playing hockey, I'm happy. The only thing that I think the NHL should do is shorten up the season. I think it should be a 48 game schedule.
Yeah, I think it should only be 6. I think it should be 60.
See, even for me, I think that's too long. Because I think what they should try and do is get it back to an October start date with a regular summer. So I think what you do is have a quote-unquote lockout year scheduler where they came in, I think it was 2012 lockout, where they played half a year still. I think you come in there, play your 48 games, have the playoffs, end in whatever, June, July, and then have your regular summer. Come October again, we're starting.
I was reading that it might, if they do 60, they'll probably work it a lot like a minor league schedule where you play 3 games in 3 nights
Mm-hmm.
against
And
the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I think the bubble showed
It's like
that if there's no travel, you're
Canadian,
fine.
yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously they'll work it. It'll all work out, but it's just one of those like interesting scenarios that we just kind of got to wait and see. So
Could you imagine though, like the 7 Canadian teams playing each other all year for a 68 game schedule? Like that would honestly start to suck if you're if you're one of the players.
60.
60?
You would just play. I mean, you would play each team. You'd play each team 7-8 times, but I think each division is just going to play within itself.
Yeah, I mean that would make the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would make the most sense. Every team plays in the division. It's 7 or 8 games. That's great for the Battle of Alberta because if we saw anything from those games last year, I mean, there's no love lost between those two teams. The only issue I've seen is travel. But, I mean, look, these guys, private jets, they charter their jets. It would just kind of start to suck, especially if you're doing 3 and 3 and then playing the next week.
Yeah.
But speaking of Vegas, though, I think we would if we didn't mention this, I think we would be missing out.
Obviously,
mentioned
Pietrangelo signed Vegas, and now there's rumors of St. Louis filing tampering charges against the Golden Knights. I
didn't hear about that. No.
Yeah. That I've seen a few different sources saying that there might be they might file a grievance with the NHL about the Golden Knights talking to him early.
Interesting. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what would that entail? They would lose draft picks, things like that?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know what the punishment is.
Interesting. All I know is you said on last episode Pietrangelo is probably going to go to Vegas. He ends up signing later that night, 7 years for $61.6 million. I didn't hear anything though with them getting tampered. If that's the case, my guess is it's going to be loss of draft picks, kind of like what happened with Arizona. Since they lost, I think it was like 6 or 7 picks with their big scandal. A few other signings, though, while you're trying to find that, we had Corey Schneider, after getting bought out by the Devils, signed with the Islanders at a 1-year league minimum deal. I think it's a good deal for Schneider. Just try and get back in the league, try and win a hockey game. I don't know, because I'm pretty sure the Islanders still have 2 other goaltenders. They have Greiss and Varlamov under contract. So Corey Schneider might just be coming in as a 3rd goaltender. But either way, good on him for sticking around. Patrick Marlow re-signed with the San Jose Sharks at a 1-year,
yeah, he goes back to the
Sharks,
deal. And he only has to play 45 games to be the all-time leader in games played in National Hockey League history. Good for him. 17, almost 1,800 games. No cup.
Yeah,
So
he hasn't.
sucks.
Yeah, he hasn't won a cup.
And then,
I don't think he's going to win one in San Jose either. But at least
and then
he gets.
his best friend decides, I'm going to do what he did and try going to Toronto for a year.
Yeah.
And then said, I want to win a Stanley Cup, so I picked the best team I could. Like, sorry, Leafs fans, but Stanley Cups and the Toronto Maple Leafs don't go in the same sentence.
Yeah, so speaking of, Joe Thornton signed a 1-year deal with the Leafs. Yeah, when he came out and said, I picked the best team to win a Stanley Cup, to me, I wouldn't have gone to Toronto. They have a great team, but I don't think they're going to win a cup next year. I think there's too many question marks.
Well, they need a goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, that's
among other things.
yeah, they need a lot of cap space too. But
To get back to the tampering thing, Puck Daddy Greg Wyszynski said to further reporting by at Friedrich, HNIC, and JP Rutherford on rumors of Blues tampering charge against Vegas. They've been swirling for weeks. I reached out to Bill Daly on October 1st about anything filed or if he had heard, and he said no. So it's just kind of speculation
interesting.
from some of those insider people. I mean, could it be true? Yes. Could it not be true? Yes. You know how the media is with that kind of stuff, especially in, hockey media.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's not true. I mean, if it is, they're going to lose some draft picks most likely.
Draft picks are fine, but
Yeah,
either
which
way.
I mean, if you're looking at Vegas's roster, I think okay, if they lose a few draft picks, okay, like sure it would suck, but they're built to win now.
They'll be fine.
So yeah, like I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Mhm.
Back to there's 2 or 3 more signings that I wanted to pick out here, and it was the Rangers signing one of their young goaltenders, Alexander Georgiev, as I believe is how you say it. They signed him to a 2-year deal at $4.85 million. Good on him. It's going to be him. I believe he's kind of pegged as the 1A goaltender to replace Henrik Lundqvist. He played a lot last year for that kind of role.
Yeah.
Brendan Gallagher re-signed with Montreal at 6 years for $39 million. Good on Gallagher. There was rumors that he might not re-sign. He still has a year left on his original contract. And it was funny because it was like talks had stalled with Brendan Gallagher. And then the next day it's like, oh, just kidding. We signed him for 6 years at $39 million. So I don't know what happened there. Obviously, we're not in the room negotiating. But nonetheless, Gallagher staying in Montreal for the time being. He's got 6 years there. And then one signing that I absolutely love being a Flames fan is the Flames finally signed Andrew Majapani to a 2-year deal worth $4.85 million. And all I'm going to say is if you're a Calgary Flames fan, you want him signed longer than 2 years. He's kind of gone through a few contract battles with the Flames. I think this one they just avoided arbitration for like the 3rd year in a row with this guy. Signed a 2-year deal, and if he keeps improving the way he is and he plays the way that he has, I mean, there's going to be a big ticket after those 2 years. But I think that really wraps it up for big name signings that, I mean, I've seen. There's been a bunch of guys coming off entry-level deals that just, re-upped either for 1 year, 2 years, however long. Tyson Jost being one of them, signed a 1-year contract. I'm guessing it's a bridge deal for the Avs just with the flat cap. They couldn't give him a big contract that he probably deserves. But nonetheless, he's still got a contract. He's still playing. But with that –
Speaking of the Avs, Nathan McKinnon, I don't know if it was on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat today, had a pair
of blue
Quebec Nordique blue gloves in his hockey bag.
Yeah, I think it was on his Instagram
This is
story.
the 20th anniversary season of the Colorado Avalanche being in Colorado and moving from Quebec. Do you think we might get to see a Quebec Nordique jersey night in Colorado?
I really hope so because those are some of the sickest jerseys in the league. I love I don't know, is it baby blue, powder blue, like
something like that?
It's a sick
I don't know
blue.
the official
like
name.
It's just a pretty blue. And
so Joe Sakic was my favorite player, and they were only in Quebec 1 year when I was little that I remember watching hockey. So when they moved to Colorado, I was like, okay, cool. I have a jersey that he signed back in the late 90s. I think I was in 4th grade when I got it. But it's the Avalanche sweater. Back when Starter was making the jerseys for the NHL. That's how long ago this was.
Who was making them?
But Starter.
Was that like before
Do you
CCM?
remember Starter?
I remember
Yeah.
CCM. Like
So
CCM
at
was
one
my
point
first.
in the 90s, at one point in the 90s, like each team was allowed to do like their own deal with a jersey manufacturer.
Interesting.
So there was like Coho and CCM and Starter, and yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, because I mean, my first jerseys I remember were CCM, and that was, I mean, it went CCM to Reebok to whatever it is now, Adidas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I
Which is
I
all
never
the
even,
same company.
yeah, I never even heard
Well,
of
Starter back in the 90s made those like warm-up suits. You don't know what a starter jacket is?
No, I mean,
Oh my god.
not
I'm dating myself. I mean, I'm not old.
well. No, I was
But
gonna say if you wanted to feel old, I could tell you that I don't ever remember the Nordiques even playing.
fair enough.
I mean, I only know them.
All
I
right.
mean, 20 years. So I missed.
Enough
I got their last 3 years, but
enough of dating myself. Again, I'm not that old. I'm only 34, but Jesus. So, okay, do you remember the Fox Tracks puck? Or that was probably before your time as well.
wait, like
The glowing puck?
on ESPN?
No, on Fox.
Oh, I just remember glowing puck on ESPN. Not a
Okay.
glow, but like the chemtrail almost.
Okay, no, see, back in the 90s, Fox did a glowing puck for its TV broadcasts. So some of our old listeners around my age and older, obviously you guys will remember what I'm talking about. But okay, enough of that
That's
little
insane.
sidetrack. Well, I had mentioned early in the show, it is a rule change year for USA Hockey. So the rule question that I got right and wrong, which is bullcrap because I'm sorry, USA Hockey has the rule wrong. Basically, it plays in an attacking zone. The attacking team player gets a double minor. The defending team player gets a single minor. And by rule in USA Hockey, because you had the coincidentals, and both teams cause the stoppage, the face-off stays inside the zone. So the team going shorthanded gets an offensive zone face-off, which contradicts any other situation in the book where if you're the attacking team and you get a penalty, the puck comes outside the zone because of the change in on-ice strength. So that needs to be changed, and I will be submitting that. And honestly, I say we just make it super easy and fall in line with the NHL, well, the pro rule book, the junior rule book, the NCAA rule book, and the IIHF rule book, and say if you get a penalty, the puck goes into your defensive zone. Done. And I mean, I understand USA Hockey's not about offense and it's about developing players and this and that, but let's just make it consistent with everything else and just do it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I personally have no issue with just taking it out, one zone back or one dot back. I mean, nor would I care if they came out and said, "Yeah, let's take it all the way back." I don't think anybody would care, even as a player, because half of them think it should be in their offensive zone anyway. Whenever they get a power play.
So I think this is just a perfect opportunity to move the rule book a little more in line with everybody else. Now, truly what I want is a rewrite to make it more like the junior and the pro book, but I understand why the USA Hockey book is dumbed down as much as it is.
What would you want changed?
Just the way it's set up, just like kind of the flow of the rule book.
Okay.
if you think about, like, if you have the junior book and the USA book next to each other, like the junior book or the pro books kind of flow a little better.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. The only rule I would want changed is the icing on the penalty kill not being allowed.
Yeah. I honestly, here's what I'm going to say with that. I think at Pee Wee and below, I'm okay with it. So U10, U12, keep it. Because I understand what it's for. Because we're trying to get, we have automatic offside. We take away the icing. We're trying to get these kids to pick their heads up and try to make a play instead of just firing it down the ice or firing into the D zone. I get it. But once we get into checking categories, because right now, U14, if you go shorthanded, you can't ice it.
Correct.
I think U14 and up, it needs to just be the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm A-okay with it in Pee Wee and Squirts, so 10 and 12U. I think it should go in line with is if it's delayed offside or not. If you're playing a division where it's delayed offside, you should be allowed to ice it. So Bantams and up, I think you should be allowed to ice it. I think, as
so
weird as this sounds, I think it's a good skill to have.
And icing. Yeah, delayed offside and icing, automatic offside, no icing.
Perfect. And
done.
Because
like we get into that gray area, like if we go to a youth tournament and you work a U10 or U12, U14, U16 game all in a row, you're essentially dealing with 3 different sets of rules.
Well, speaking of that, I had almost quite that similar this weekend as I did a 16 game on whatever Saturday, and then right after we did a Bantam game. And the first probably 3 icings were on a penalty kill, and both me and my partner originally just looked at each other like, "Yep, no ice, we're on a penalty kill." And thankfully, each of the 3 times, one of us were like, "Oh, wait a second, we can't ice it. This is Bantam hockey." And we would blow it down, get the right call. At the end of the day, all it would do is eliminate confusion for us, which I think would make our lives more easier. And if you want to, that's what USA Hockey, the rule book, is written for, to make it as easy as possible.
Another thing that I wouldn't mind adding would be maybe for U16, U18 hybrid. But like it'd be nice, or at least maybe at the U18 level hybrid, U16 no. But I think it's time for that. I think we should also put it in men's league, because there are a lot of men's leagues out there that do hybrid anyway, or they play blue line icing. But why not? Let's just do it. It's safe enough. I think enough of our officials, or most of our officials, have seen it happen or work in pro hockey, so it's not like it's an alien thing anymore. When it was brand new, no way in heck would I have put that on some youth hockey officials. But now I think it's time we put in hybrid.
I think hybrid, though, I mean, it might be a bit tough because obviously you're trying to cater for it to be consistent for as large of a group as possible. I would love to have hybrid at the 16 and 18 AAA level, though. I think if you institute at those levels, the guys working those levels, 95% of us work a league with hybrid icing in it. So I don't think it would change anything for that, and I think it would only make the players in the game better at the AAA level. But I mean, at single A, double A,
it's one more thing to add to prepare them to go play junior hockey.
Yeah.
And at this point too, when you really think about it, and I hate to say this, but U16s and U18s is dead.
How so?
There's just so much junior between the NA3 and the USPHL and the Nhl.
And then you got like the EHL, the Western States.
Yeah, so, and then you got all those other random junior leagues. Like, it's the talent level that we're seeing now playing U16, U18 isn't what it used to be. Now, obviously, we have that U15, that goofy, like,
Mhm.
U15 thing that USA Hockey did. Those kids are all really freaking good because obviously they're not junior age yet.
Yeah.
And then that U15 segment is set up for those kids to get looked at by the Nhl and the USHL and the other junior leagues that are out there.
Yeah.
So, but then when we get into our U16s and U18s, I mean, our U18 AA here, we only have 7 U18 AA teams in the entire state of Florida.
Wow.
7.
I mean, thinking about it,
sucks.
Texas isn't much like that's really we're not that far behind. I mean, our 18s, we don't have an A division, we only have AA, and I think there's
Well, if you're playing single A at 18 or 16 and 18, you should just be playing high school.
Yeah, I agree.
Like AA, AAA.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't understand what USA Hockey's doing with the 15U division is they've split up. I guess it would be first-year Bantams and second-year Bantams, so 14 and 15-year-olds.
First-year midgets. First-year
15's first-year midgets? Okay.
Yeah.
So they
Which
took
it's not even called midget anymore.
Yeah. So they took away the first-year midgets at 15, and they said, hey, we're going to have all you guys play against each other. In theory, that is the best of the best kids at the AAA level because none of them have gone off to play junior hockey yet because they're not eligible. I've done a few of those games, and holy smokes, can they fly. Like, those kids are amazing. And you're like, oh, this is where the USHL gets their talent from. This is where the Nhl gets it from. I think it's great what they did, though. I mean, I have no issue with it.
Well, it was kind of like what Canada has with the Bantam draft.
Yeah.
That's essentially what, that's what they did with it. And it's perfect. So, we get all those kids going off and doing that. But at the same time, you do have some late bloomers. You're 6, so between that 16 and 18 range. But I think hybrid icing, maybe a couple more, maybe throw that minor in for, your maybe like an open ice check from behind minor in the U16, U18 level, and maybe a minor charge or a minor board. Like, give that extra option there because sitting a kid for 12 minutes at a U18 game on an open ice check from behind, like, that sucks. Because if that kid was playing like here, if he was playing on a USPHL team, he's just going to the box for a minor for an open ice check from behind.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, though, you'll see it as a rough called.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, the creative guys are going to do. Like, we're not going to do that. Like, I tell guys all the time, like, you should be getting a 2 and 10 for that, but I'm just going to give you a minor rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, is it the USA Hockey way? No, but these kids are good hockey players. I don't want them to sit in the box for 12 minutes unless it's absolutely deserved. Like, obviously, if it's into the boards or anything like that or whatever, yes, 2 and 10. Bye. I have no sympathy for guys that make bad hits. I don't. But
no,
we do get into that artist versus scientist thing a little bit, where you have the tools in the toolbox to be able to work around it. But I don't know, and I just think a lot of the reason why it came in was to handcuff the referees and just because so many refs wouldn't give those 2 and 10s or 5 in games. Everyone was kind of afraid to make that big call, but I don't really see that anymore because it's status quo. It's, hey, it's 2 and 10, see it no matter what. So now that I think everyone's used to it being that 210 only option, that's where we're at. So with that, let's get into our guest. He just joined the Zoom. Today's guest is Tyler Loftus. He's an ODP grad, works the American League, ECHL, does a lot of stuff for the Atlantic District. So I'm going to pull him into the Zoom call right now. And let's get him joined. Tyler, what is up, buddy?
Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, 6 sweaters on the wall.
Oh gee, thanks.
There you go.
They're airing out, collecting a lot of dust.
Right? I think all of our stuff is, well, our pro stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we've been recording where and you just jumped in, so we're just going to jump right on into it. We were actually just talking about ideas for USA Hockey rule changes, which we'll touch on with you here in a bit. But so everybody, this is Tyler Loftus. Like I said, he works American League, ECHL, D1, where he's trying to make the transition from being a linesman to a referee. And so with that, Tyler, let's so tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Tyler Loftus. I'm from beautiful Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's a nice 57 degrees here right now.
Lucky it's 80 and raining here.
Yeah, it's pouring outside right now. Been officiating for, I think this will be my 14th season. Came up through the ranks of USA Hockey. I was lucky enough to have a lot of junior hockey out by me and was able to develop as an official out in the East before moving to the Midwest for USA Hockey. And yeah.
So what got you into officiating? Like what made you want to put the stripes on?
Well, I mean, I think it pretty much goes for everybody when they say they're just doing it for extra money when they first start.
Yep.
That's pretty fair to say. So
Yeah,
I started just looking to get some extra money, and then kind of fell in love with it once I stopped playing and kept going with it and met some
that's
really
pretty
cool
much
people.
the normal story for everybody. It's, hang out at the rink a lot. I'm always here. Might as well skate some games, get some ice time, make some money.
Absolutely.
So with that, so like when you really fell in love with it, like, did you have like a particular, maybe like a mentor or somebody that you looked up to, or like that really was like the reason why you're like, wow, this is awesome. I think this is something I could do.
I wouldn't really say mentor. I guess, yeah, kind of mentor. Ian Walsh with he's an NHL official, an NHL referee. He ran our district camp for many, many years. He kind of pushed me a lot. Peter Schlittenhart really pushed me a lot. So shout out to Pete.
Schlitty, I love that guy.
So those guys, Judd Ritter, a lot of the East guys pushed. Bill Maurer, he did a lot of behind the scenes stuff for the Atlantic District. Those guys were all big parts of my officiating career, and I probably wouldn't be where I am today without them.
When obviously after you get going, you did your regional camp and all that kind of stuff with USA Hockey, and then got in the ODP. Like, where were you at home your first year? You were in an apartment?
So being from out east is kind of nice when we had the Met League and the AJ out here. So I kind of got started with the MJHL, the Metropolitan Junior Hockey League, and the Atlantic Junior Hockey League out here when Chris Allman was running it. And from there, I got into the ACHA stuff, and then from that point, we started to get North American League teams like Johnstown out east, and then I was in a position where they needed somebody to move into an apartment last minute, and I kind of was that guy that said, yeah, I'll do it. So I ended up moving out to the Midwest in Minnesota for that.
Perfect. And then that was what, Minnesota Junior Hockey League, North American League?
Well, it was actually just North American League and NA3 at that point.
Okay.
We weren't really doing, I don't even know if the Minnesota Junior Hockey League was still around when that was going on. I know when I was living out east, they were still around. So
I feel like that kind of ended up turning into what is now the NA3. Like some.
Right. Yeah. Most of those teams are the NA3 now. So
yeah. You were lining right? Did
Yeah.
you referee
Yeah.
at all, or were you just lying?
So I was pretty much just straight up linesman from the Met League to the AJ to the North American League to the USHL to the SP to NCAA, and then I moved back home, and that's where I kind of transitioned into a referee.
Okay. And how's that been going for you so far?
Pretty good. Didn't expect it to go as good as it has been, but I enjoy it. I get yelled at quite a bit more being a referee than a linesman, which is part of the job, but you just have to have a good relationship with the coaches. You got to know who you're dealing with.
Makes it fun when you're getting yelled at.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you've obviously you've come down here, a couple tournaments down here in Florida, hanging out with us.
Yeah,
It's been awesome to have you down here.
Was lucky enough you guys needed some help, and flights were pretty cheap, so came down, hung out with the guys, and made some more memories, got to golf a little bit, and
There you go. Nothing better than going to the rink and going to play golf.
that's right.
Hey Tyler. I guess
Uh-oh.
I just want to know a little bit about
Oh, there you are.
your path, I guess, just from like ODP into professional hockey. Like, how'd that all work out?
Like, so from going from the ODP to professional hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I got my first opportunity with professional hockey when I was living in Texas for the North American League. We still had Louisiana playing, Mississippi was still playing, so I got to break into professional hockey living down there, and the SP was a great stepping stone for pro hockey. You learn a lot, obviously, in that league. Guys are fighting for a position with the Coast League team, guys right out of college. So it's really, that gave you the opportunity to go from dealing with, I'm going to say, teenagers to dealing with men. And that transition just is a big eye opener, and you learn a lot within a period of, oh, okay, guys, I'm not dealing with kids anymore. I'm dealing with professionals, and they're here to do a job, and they're getting paid to do it. So that's kind of how I transitioned into professional hockey.
What would you say is the biggest difference, I guess, between dealing with kids and then dealing with like actual professional hockey players?
The respect level. The respect level's a little bit higher. Those guys at the professional level know what you're doing. You're there to do a job. They're there to do a job. And they realize that you're not there to get in the way or try to get in the way. Whereas in a junior hockey game, they might not have the hockey IQ yet to say, if I'm on the wall and if I'm going to jump up on the bench to give them underneath my feet, they're still going to put it high. And then they say, oh, well, why are you in the way? And there's nothing you could really do about it. But it's just that respect level that maybe the teenagers aren't really sure what your job is to do. They don't realize that that's your full-time job at the time. They think you're just some schmuck off the street coming in and lacing them up for a 7:30 puck drop and then going home and getting up for your 8 to 5 job the next day.
So you're now making the transition to be a referee. What, like, first off, why?
So yeah, I moved home, and we have a lot of Division III hockey out east. And I have a lot of it. I'm in a very good area to do Division I, Division III, and pro hockey. So when I moved home, they started using me as a referee for Division III games, and the coaches liked how I called the game. The supervisors liked how I called the game. And then I went to take one of the younger officials from this area up to New York over the summer a few years ago to get looked at by the Division III assigner. And there was a assigner there that's assigns Division One, and he talked to me after the game and asked me if I'd have any interest in reffing Division One men's. Me at the time thinking he meant to line, coming to find out he wanted me as a referee. So that's kind of where I'm at with the refereeing. Just a lot of guys always told me I should have originally been a referee. Yeah, a lot of guys told me I should have originally been a referee. So hoping to try to make them happy. So
the nice thing for you there is you're still young enough to really make that transition and make it stick.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if I see the right people and have the right people in front of me, then yeah.
And then we got something else I wanted to ask you about, and I talked to Gatesy the other day. He because I'm going to have him on at some point. But we got this scouting the lesser refs thing, which obviously he wants to come on. And Gatesy, we are going to have you on here soon, but Tyler, if you want to give some of these people that listen who might not know what this is all about, like maybe just a little preview of what we're going to get out of Mr. Gates when I get
so I don't want to step on STLR headquarters toes here, but I did receive this in the mail a couple days ago. It was a little late. More STLR crests. So
there you go.
We got from STLR headquarters sent up to STLR PA division. But STLR just started as a way for us to make fun of each other and have a good laugh. And it's just an all-around good time. Obviously, people know what scouting the refs is. So this is scouting the lesser refs. And we just have a good time with it. It's all in good fun. And
yeah, for sure. And it's, like I said, we're going to have Gatesy on anyway. So I just figured I'd
yeah, absolutely.
put it out there for everybody.
Go follow them on Twitter and Instagram. STLR is you get a good chuckle out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know the group's been pretty fun there. So let's I guess talk about some of the USA Hockey stuff, since what I know you were telling me you're pretty involved with the Atlantic District.
Yeah.
As far as like development, all that kind of stuff goes. Like, let's talk about your role there and like what you're doing to, even as young as you are, you're still one of the senior guys up there. And so like what are you doing to give back? Like,
our main focus with the Atlantic District is to develop officials. We don't take any more. So before, you could apply whenever you wanted to our Atlantic District camp. Now we do a workshop in January, and it's really nice that we have so many professional teams around us. We do that in Lehigh Valley with the Flyers American League team, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and they put on a top of the line show for the kids. We get in the building. We do a full day of on-ice stuff, classroom stuff, just really try to get them out of their comfort level. And then from there on, So this is like a pre-thing to select to select for district camp. Then we invite guys that we want for district camp to like a 2-day festival, where from there we pick our 12 people we take to Atlantic District camp.
Okay.
Usually 10 male, 10 female, or 10 male, 2 female. And then from there, we send them off to Futures Camp and see where they go with USA Hockey.
Because obviously from then the district camp, you're going to be able to get people on your radar for now, what Futures and high performance in those camps. Right. And then I believe you instructed USA Hockey level camps too, correct? Yep,
I've instructed the past 2 years now at Kent State for Central Futures camps.
Okay. And so not many or maybe some of our listeners don't really know what the camp system is for USA Hockey. So maybe let's talk about that a little bit, and then like what your role is in an instructor at, when you do high performance.
So when you come in to do Futures Camp, it's pretty grassroots officiating. We break down video sessions. Day one, we'll come in, we'll meet in the classroom. introduce everybody. We'll go have a light skate, get everybody's legs moving, and then they'll officiate games throughout the week. We have 3 instructors plus camp director plus BJ Ringrose usually stops by for a couple days. Gets the kids some great information, and I say kids, but it's sometimes they're as old as me, and I'm just there to.
And for many of them, it's their first time being exposed to the bigger picture,
Right,
of USA hockey.
Right. So from these future camps, we could have the North American League's Keith Caval at them. We could have Scott Zelkin. We could have anybody come and watch and say, "Oh, this guy's going to be pretty good. Let's keep an eye on him." They could offer them a spot in the North American League or USHL right out of one of those camps. So it really gives people a really good opportunity to see where they could go with hockey.
Well, it's the chance to really get on the radar.
Right. Some areas of the country we might not be able to get to go watch these younger officials skate throughout the year. So it's a nice opportunity for them to come and work some games and get the experience. Some of them might not have ever worked a 4-man or a 3-man before. So it's getting them out of their comfort zone again.
Mm-hmm. And then from there, obviously, when somebody, they go to futures, let's say they have a good camp, maybe a year or two later, they're looking at, high performance, which is what you've instructed. So what's the point of high performance? Like once you've, done your futures, gone back home, and then now you're coming back for high performance.
So high performance is a little bit more of the next step. They're going to push you a lot more out of high performance camp and expect a lot more out of you, I guess would the right term would be. And just to see, also it gives you that opportunity to work the higher level games, because I believe high performance goes with the 16-year-olds at their camps. So you'll be officiating the 16, pretty much the top 16-year-olds in the country. Mm-hmm. And from there, everybody's at high performance camp. So so it's kind of high performance camp, and then maybe I'll move into an apartment for USA Hockey right after that.
Which makes sense, because obviously, we're talking the best younger officials that we have in the officiating program, across the board. And then they're getting hired by either Z or Cavs or whatever to go off and do the ODP thing like we did.
Sure.
And, because like for us in the roles that we're in, you with the Atlantic District and instructing those camps, like our goal now is to get guys to where we are.
Right.
And, get them through the system, which, we've mentioned quite a few times on the podcast with other people. So like, for you, what's the most rewarding thing for you about being a part of the process as far as guiding, the next group of officials to come through?
I mean, it's really cool for me when I'm instructing, and then maybe a year later or 2 years later, I step on the ice and I'm on the ice with somebody that I instructed. Or I get a phone call or a text message saying, "Hey, thanks for everything. Got hired. Cavs hired me for the season.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any advice the rest of the way, let me know." And my phone's always on, so if they want to reach out, they're more than welcome to. So,
which definitely makes sense, because obviously it's a brotherhood and this is a family.
Absolutely.
So, we just want to see nothing but the best for everybody that we work with, especially moving up and all that.
Right.
I know. And so the other day you sent me a picture. You were working in an NA game.
I did. I dusted the old NA sweater off, and I worked a game on Friday night for the North American League in New Jersey. So kind of wish that the North American League was still right here in my backyard in Scranton, but wasn't up to me. So
Yeah, whatever. You still got to go, and I'm sure you got to work with a couple of young kids. That must have been fun.
Yeah, I did. A couple of good guys that are coming up, trying to work their way up through the ODP, and they did a good job. So we had fun. It was first game in 8 months that I was able to actually skate, and not saying that the youth games weren't, but
Yeah.
just that level.
It's obvious. You know, it's different. Obviously.
Right.
Going forward, obviously, you know, we just saw the announcement from the coast, and then we don't know what's going on with the American League. And do you have any maybe insider information on anything? Or
I wish I did. If you guys hear of anything, please let me know, because I'm at the edge of my seat waiting for the season to start. But we don't really have a word yet. So hopefully soon we find out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we before you came on with us, we were talking about, you know, the ECHL's return to play plan with the 72-62 games. Yeah. We haven't heard anything from the American League, and then obviously NCAA.
It just all goes by division for NCAA. I saw NCHC is planning their little pod, they're calling it. In Omaha, they're going to do it, and then out east, we just had the NESCAC, which is the New England schools. They canceled their season.
Now that's D3, right?
That's D3, and then D3 for the SUNYAC. So all the New York schools, the state universities of New York.
They all canceled as well.
They just announced today that they're canceling all winter sports.
That sucks.
So we got one more conference out here called the UCHC, and we'll see if they decide to play or not. It's not looking good that the SUNYAC canceled, so what a waiting game.
Yep, it's definitely hurry up and wait there. Do you have any like good stories that like just something off your head that's shareable? Obviously, the names and locations will be changed for the protection of.
I have one story from it's a long time ago, and I have a very, very good rapport with this head coach, and he's coached all over the country. He coached in the OHL. He coached in the Q. His son is one of the best players in the country right now for college hockey, and he actually got drafted a few years ago. But awesome. I'll leave names out. But I was actually reffing a game in a 3-man, and he was upset at a call, and he had a couple fake teeth, and he was yelling one day, and I was standing right next to the bench, and one of his teeth came flying out and onto the ice, and he stopped yelling, and I bent over, and now it wouldn't work because it wouldn't be COVID sanitary, but I bent over, I picked up his tooth, and he goes, "Tyler, could I have that back?" I said, "You'll get it back at the end of the game," and I put it in my pocket, and I skated away. And the next shift I went over and I gave it back to him, and he just had a good chuckle out of it. So
that's awesome.
It just a funny story, and he appreciated it. I'm sure it could have went south if he didn't get a kick out of it, but
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But
and then I guess if you could give advice to any up and coming young official, what would you want to say to that young guy that's either just starting out or starting their journey into the ODP, or like what kind of advice do you have there?
Number one, I would say play the game as long as you can. Don't give up on it too early. Even if you're terrible like I was, play the game. You'll miss it one day. And number two, whatever you do, no matter how much you want to move out and go to the Midwest and join the ODP, finish school. That's pretty much it. Work hard, stay humble. Don't look into your schedule. That's the biggest piece of advice I could give, because and I'm sure you guys know, as soon as that schedule comes out, everybody's texting each other, "Hey, what game are you got? Where are you going this weekend? Well, shit, why am I not on that game? Like, I should have this game." Nah, take it with a grain of rice and just do your schedule, fly under the radar, you'll be set.
Yep. And that's funny that you mentioned that, because that's something that we as officials get, we get in our own heads about stuff like that, and it can definitely snowball. So, that advice, just, hey, do your schedule. Don't worry about, what it is. Cause I mean, the joke back when I started in the ODP was they put on a blindfold, picked a name out of a hat, and then started throwing darts. And that's where you were going.
And that might be what they do. That might not be what they do. There could be a crazy plan behind it, but from the looks of a lot of things, it doesn't look like there is.
Nope.
But control the things you can control. The uncontrollable, don't worry about.
Exactly. Well, Tyler, we appreciate having you on. I think this was a good time. We'll definitely have you on again in the future. Brenden, anything else for Tyler?
Yeah, work in the American League. What was like, I guess your first oh shit moment of like, I'm working the American League, I'm one step below the National League? Like, was it like a player at a face-off, or like, what was that?
That's a great question. I guess my first real, oh shit moment was when the first fight that I had. First fight, you got two guys in there, 6'3", 6'4", going at each other, just men. Like, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, so me trying to break some guys up, you got to put everything you got into it. And I just tried to grab a guy and pray for dear life. There was a situation in a ECHL game where I was just along for the ride, where I just grabbed him and I hoped and prayed that he would just make eye contact with me, and that would be it. But other than that, they know what they're doing. So if you're on the wall, and like I said before, if you jump up on the wall, that puck's going under your feet. If you give them the wall and you tell them they have the wall, they're taking the wall. If you don't and you're on the wall, they're still going to try to take the wall because they know you shouldn't be there, and you'll hear about it. So they know more than you think they know.
That's the damn truth.
Yep.
Especially with those guys. It definitely makes it a lot easier when they're watching where you're at, and one less thing we have to worry about as officials.
Right. So those are my two biggest things about pro hockey. And then I guess just positioning is key too. So don't be flat-footed, because you never know what's going to happen. And don't jump between a couple former NHLers that are looking to square off and then get punched in the face. That's the only other thing.
Punched you.
That probably wouldn't end well.
It was Brandon Baddock on the Binghamton Devils. He leaned back and just went for a no look punch, and I was right in the way. So.
Your face was in the way of his fist.
Yeah, exactly. So
brutal.
So when those guys know that they weren't supposed to do something, they know, and they beg and plead, and it's nothing. I just shook it off and said, "Hey, Brandon, don't worry. We probably shouldn't have jumped in." So, I'm pretty sure I showed you that video, Ross, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like it did happen to me once. Brandon Blair in the SP, actually. I think I know for sure once. I think he might have actually gotten me twice, if I remember right. I think the first time he was like, "Oh my God, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that," like freaking out, thinking he was going to get suspended. I'm like, dude, you're fine.
Anthony Pizzano in the SP when he was playing for Louisiana there last year got me in the back of the head because I had to jump on somebody because he was just a massive, massive human being. So
all right, well, Brenden, I think we should we'll wrap this up and wrap up the episode, huh?
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, guys.
Yeah, dude, it was fun talking to you. Looking forward to next trip down, or heck, maybe I'll come up and see you at some point soon.
Yeah, there we go. You guys are always welcome. Sounds good, dude. I think with that, we'll just go ahead and end the episode here on a high note with Tyler. For Brenden, any last words for this episode?
Yeah, just a massive shout out to our sponsor at Acme Whistles. we are selling our customized ones. They're sick. They're the matte black ones. Go and buy those. Follow us on all our social medias as always at Go Team Stripes. And then the masterclass by Don Koharski. If you want to learn anything about officiating, he's the guy to learn it from, I think. So,
Yep.
I mean,
the Team Stripes Academy. That's what you want to go check out. So, and I guess with that, for Brenden and Tyler, I'm Ross. Thanks for listening to Team Stripes podcast, and we'll catch everybody next time.
See you next week, guys.